Looks like we are connecting. And how were y'all with the rain last week or last month, really?
It was, well, I mean, we need water. So, and also, it saved me time to water my grass. So
Yeah.
that
Do
was
you
good.
have do you have automatic sprinklers, or how do you
Yeah, in the
do?
front, but in the back.
Yeah.
So it saved me time for that. Maybe free car wash, clean the air, but also a struggle in traffic and getting wet.
Yeah. A lot
Yeah. Yeah.
of people in LA are not used
Used to
to
rain.
driving in the
Come to church
nuts.
either, huh?
Or yeah, they just stay home
They don't come to
if it
church or
rains.
something.
Yeah, I will say though, I grew up where it rained all the time, and driving in LA in the rain is actually a little bit harder, not just because of the drivers, but because I think all the oils and everything on the road don't get washed away as much. So the
Mhm.
roads honestly do feel a little bit more slick, but
Exactly.
um, yeah.
For more accidents.
Yeah. So first of all, I want to welcome everyone watching this. I'm James Browning with the Small Group Network, and we have two extra special guests today. Why don't you introduce yourselves?
My name is Marlo Blandford, and I have been here at Saddleback Southbay for 4 whole months. So I am feeling like an expert, not really. I have been in ministry for most of my. I was a pastor for 14 years at a vineyard church, and before that, for 14 more years at a Foursquare church. And super happy to be back in the South Bay where my whole entire family lives and being serving Jesus here at Saddleback South Bay. It's been great.
Yeah,
All right.
yeah. And my name is Giovanni Gaviria. They call me Gio, and I've been here in Saddleback on staff for almost 3 years. Next month, I started as a connection pastor here at Saddleback South Bay, and now I'm the campus pastor for 7 months. I started attending the Lake Forest campus 4 years ago, and it's been an amazing journey.
Yeah. So you're both new in your role, but not new in ministry. And I asked you all here today because of your unique perspective. Giovanni, you used to be the small group pastor, and now Marlo, you are the small group pastor here at Saddleback South Bay campus. But Gio, now you're in senior leadership, and you have both perspectives. Why don't you tell us a little bit about that, and then we'll kind of get into the topic you really wanted to dive into today.
Yes, that's a great question. So, as a pastor, it was, I mean, really fun. I enjoyed it. I love connecting with people. I love connecting people into ministry or into a discipleship pathway. Uh, I like people, looking, see them grow and like going from one step to the next. So I really enjoy doing that, building teams, recruiting volunteers, and just helping people grow. So I really enjoy that season in my life, and actually working with a campus pastor that I learned from. That was a fantastic season. Now this pastor is different. It's another mindset. Now it's not only dealing with volunteers and members and all of that, but now dealing with staff and helping them grow and helping the campus grow as well. So uh, I love it. It's obviously more work, more stress, but the blessing is bigger, and be able to walk through, through with Marlo as she's new into the role as well, but with a perfect understanding, or with a good understanding, I should say, about her role in helping in that area in that season. That's also very fun.
Thank you. And Marlo, have you ever had a pastor or someone in leadership who has had small group experience before, or is this a first for you also?
think my previous churches have always prioritized groups, but not in the way that Gio has because of his previous role. And I didn't really understand that until I started reading Steve Gladen's Small Groups with a Purpose, his workbook.
Mm-hmm.
And I could tell as I was reading through that so many small group leaders and pastors get pushback from their lead pastor because there's so much that the church is doing, and to prioritize small groups is hard, and especially if you're starting new. And so as I read that book, I just became more and more thankful for just Gio's role, having done my role before, and understanding the importance of small groups in a church. And we always say, right, that small groups aren't just part of Saddleback, but they are Saddleback. And we still try to have more people in our small groups than attend on Sunday, because we know that's where real relationship develops, the kind that lasts forever. Friendships, mentoring, relationships that last for a lifetime start in small groups. So we're on the same page, and it's been amazing. It's really been, I'm so thankful.
Man, that's great. I'm really honestly really excited to see what happens because of the team in South Bay. I think the whole staff top to bottom is pretty great, and I'm excited to see how you grow and how you adapt in this new season. We also have a new lead pastor at Saddleback, so that's a whole different a whole thing as well. And being able to kind of navigate transition, and both of you are new in your role, so you really got a lot of change coming. So today, I for everyone who's watching this, I had sent them an invite to do this and asked if they were interested in joining us, and asked what their topic that they wanted to cover was. And Gio, why don't you share a little bit, and Marlo, what you wanted to cover today, and we'll kind of dive in from there.
Yeah, one of the things that Marlo and I agreed upon sharing, I mean, there's so many things that we can share, but we agreed on that topic, something that brings a lot of excitement to our lives and to our ministries. Prioritizing your small group for deeper community. I mean, I'm coming from a small group. Marlo's coming from a small group, and we've seen people grow in their small group. That's why we think that small groups should be a priority for people's spiritual growth, because that's where you build, like that, what Marlo was saying, friendships, connections that can last for a very long time. I've seen people in our are together, like in these transitions, like a new lead pastor, a new campus pastor, and the people that are in community in small groups are the ones that have responded to the change in a more positive way. So there are a lot of benefits into this and to grow into deeper community. But that's the topic for today.
Yeah. I like what you just said, Gio. The people, so there has been a lot of change at Saddleback overall with a new pastor, a new lead pastor, but also just so much change here at Saddleback Southbay. And the people that are involved in small groups have weathered the change way better than the people that are just feeling isolated and outside and maybe just coming on Sundays and not knowing anyone. But the people that are committed to their small groups are also staying committed to Saddleback Southbay. And that says so much to me.
Yeah. So discipleship, what does that look like at South Bay? What do you feel like, what makes it distinct, or what's it similar to other churches? Marlo, you have a great on this because you've done it at other churches, but tell us a little bit about what that looks like at the South Bay campus for Saddleback.
Yeah. Well, I think that small groups, when it comes to discipleship, I mean, that's where the rubber meets the road, and that's where it happens consistently weekly. And um, what sets Saddleback apart is that in our small groups, we try all the purposes, not just discipleship, but also fellowship and evangelism. And we're in all of our 5 purposes. So that even though there is a lot of discipleship going on in the small groups, it doesn't just stay closed where you just start, only meeting together and you're not bringing people in, you're not willing to open up, you're not willing to be with people that maybe you wouldn't necessarily bond with, but because of your relationship with Christ. And so I feel like in our small groups, because we try to all the purposes, discipleship is happening and it's healthier because it's not siloed, and we're always looking out. We're trying to also serve together. We're trying to, and that's amazing discipleship when you're out serving, right? And we're also trying to evangelize. And I do want to say this. This is a personal thing for me, and this is what I am trying to speak to community leaders and the hosts about. For me, I want to always have an open small group where people are invited to join in. Different people from me, people that I can learn from, people that may not, that have needs, and I'm going to have to get out of my comfort zone. But I also have a closed small group where I can get real and deep. And if I need prayer for something big, I'm texting, I'm calling my group. And so for me, I want those 2 groups in my life. And that's what I'm trying to talk to people that I think it's easy to start a small group and then you kind of close up and it feels that you don't want to open up again. And so I want both, and I want to just be in that radical middle of having both of those in my life, in my small groups. And I'm hoping for that to happen with our people here in Saddleback Southbay. So thank you for letting me share that personal thing.
Good point. And I think that I've seen a decent amount where people really want the closed group, and when they find that connection, that they don't want to let go of that. And it is hard adding someone to a group that's been meeting together because you have all that relational growth that's been done together, that kind of knitting together over the years. I saw a tweet the other day where the guy said, why, and this is, I don't think this is necessarily true at every church or at Saddleback, but it was his experience that he felt like it was harder to make friends at church than it was at other places. Like he would make friends playing in the sports league or something like that, but I had a hard time connecting with people in church. And my first reaction was like, oh, he should join a small group, which is like such a, the by the book answer. But I think that if you have had friends at church and you are in a small group with them, instinct is to almost close that off and protect that because it is so valuable and it is such a worthwhile thing. So your suggestion to that is being 2 small groups. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yeah, I mean, for me, that's how I've been able to do those things of having a group that I can trust and be open and know that it's staying right there, and that's where true growth happens in my own soul. But also having a group where I'm out of my comfort zone and I am just willing to reach out to people in need and the people that need extra grace. And if I don't have that in my life, I'm part of what Jesus has called us to. So that it's a struggle, and I'm finding that here at Saddleback Southbay. I appreciate our closed groups because there is amazing relationship happening, but I also want to push them out of themselves a little bit.
I think that's definitely applicable to where you all are. For those of you who don't know Southern California very well. South Bay is on kind of the west side, and the Lake Forest campus, kind of it's not the main campus, but it's a larger campus, uh, is in South Orange County, and more family oriented demographic. And the west side is a lot more what I call transient. A lot of people who are either earlier in their career or something. A lot of people moving in and moving out, and it's harder to make those deeper long term connections because whoever you're with will probably move away at some point when they realize that houses are cheaper literally everywhere else, and um, yeah, so it's very much a high turnover, just demographic in the
Mm.
area as a whole, not just in the church, but for everywhere. So, what are some of the ways that you all try to overcome that challenge in in the South Bay camp?
Yeah.
Like, what is it?
What came to mind when you were talking was that we encourage people for as long as they are here to get planted,
Mm.
even if it is for 6 months or a year. I mean, that is unlike Orange County down at Lake Forest, where people just plant and stay for their whole lives and generations. So that you're exactly right. That's not happening here in the West Side ish. So, but we encourage people. We say, don't put this off. Jump in. You can find relationship if you are willing yourself and grow for as long as God has you here. And that is just something that we tell people over and over, because it's so easy to say, I'm only here for a year, I'm not going to get planted. And we were talking about one of our new small groups,
Mm-hmm.
and this young couple has 3 little kids, 3 under 3 or 4, and they have started a small group, if you can believe that. And it's a small group that welcomes small children, and they're one of our newest couples at Saddleback Southbay. But they know the importance of small groups. They need it. They know they need it. And they said, as long as we're here, and we might not be here for long, we will get planted and we will start a small group. And it's
Yeah.
my heart. I am so glad for them, and God is going to bless that.
Amen. So, yeah, and James, one of the things that we have noticed is that when people get plugged in into number one, relationships, and number two, a ministry or a team, or in specifically a small group, chances are they're gonna stay longer, and chances that they're gonna grow faster into being like Jesus. So for us, discipleship is like reflecting Jesus. So, like, for instance, with my staff, just an example, monthly I have a one-on-one kind of meetup just to see how they're doing with others, how they're doing with God, how are their teams going, and they do the same with their teams. So, like with our core, with our ministry leaders, we do like a one-on-one meetups to kind of create the and help them right grow, and the host actually do that with their members, like how can they grow in terms like spiritually, with community, with their families. So our mindset is a lot on how can we help them grow to reflect Jesus, and how can we plug them in or encourage them to take the next step, because unfortunately we see a lot of people jumping from church to church. If they don't like the pastor, if they don't like a leader, they don't grow. There is no roots on that. So what we want to help people, and we're constantly creating that culture of, hey, get plugged in, serve God. If this is where God did, you grow until God takes you to another church or another season. But yeah, like Lake Forest, in my own experience, James, and probably this is not for everyone, like Lake Forest is my second church. I've been a Christian for 25 years. So in my previous church, I lasted like 22 years. And that's where I became an elder, a youth pastor. That's where I met my kids. And I kind of like, I feel I was rooted in that church until God said, you know what? It's time to go to another season of ministry, another church in Lake Forest. So out of my 25 being a Christian, this is my second church. So, and I feel that's how you can grow deeper and one time.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, that is one of the things we relationships a key ingredient is time. Like there's no replacement for it. Possibly trauma. Do trauma together tends to speed it up. But we'd much rather invest the time than hopefully not have anyone go through anything traumatic. But I think having an eternal perspective, not just what we're saying and doing matters as far as the kingdom and beyond even how long the earth will last, but it also time is relatively short. And so we feel like, we want things instantly, but even investing years into small groups yields big results, even though it feels so slow. I, I'm going to kind of shift gears a little bit. We're almost out of time here, but I wanted to ask you all, we are gearing up to campaign for groups and a church-wide series. I Why don't you share a little bit, Marlo? This is your first, and I think Gio, is this your first one with Saddleback as well? What's your perspective on going through a church-wide campaign with a brand new pastor and in new roles and all of this all at the same?
Wow, that's a good question. So, as I have looked into previous campaigns and looking forward to this campaign, uh, just talking about kind of shutting everything down and saying we're going to concentrate on two things: Sundays and small groups, and encouraging every single soul at Saddleback Southbay to join a small group. Now, I'd love for that to happen. I know that's not going to happen, but how are we going to get more of our people that are just coming on Sundays and enjoying it, maybe sitting in the back, slipping out before the last worship song just so they don't have to talk to anyone? How can we bring them in and help them experience the fullness of Jesus, which is, of course, their relationship with God and then their relationship with others? And to put yourself into a group where you have to share your life and you're going to be able to need to answer questions or whatever it is, that for this short time, that's the beauty of, hey, you guys, let's do it for 4 weeks. Can you make a commitment? Commitment is a hard word for our people in the South Bay. Can you make a commitment to a group of people for 4 weeks like you've never before? And I'm super excited. You asked about like what are our thoughts of our first campaign.
Right.
I can't wait. I can't see people step into it, and I really truly go into their small group a new open hearts and eyes to what Jesus can, that they will continue. And that's my prayer. So
Yeah. Yeah. I'm also very excited because our lead pastor, Andy, is talking about better, better meaning progress than perfection, right? And as the first campaign, I think better as a church, just because open up more small groups, and that means more people to Christ. Open just for the sake of it, but just because we want more souls, we want more people to come to Christ, and also, you know, seeing people get baptized. Uh, but I'm excited of what this is gonna do in people's lives. Like, I'm pretty sure after these 4 weeks of the campaign, people are gonna be better. new small groups, new habits, uh, and new people to our churches, to our campuses. So I'm excited about that. And I know there's a lot of logistics behind this uh, that God is gonna do amazing things. So exciting.
Super exciting.
So, last question. And I may need to ask you this again in a month and a half, but what are your tips for anyone who's going through their own church-wide campaign or thinking about doing their own church-wide campaign from a perspective, from a pastor's perspective? What's been a big learning curve for you, and what would you recommend? What would you recommend to yourself like 3 months?
That's a good question. Uh, yeah, so as we've been gearing up for this personally, we've been talking about what we can do on Sundays to, we're getting some new small group leaders to share their stories this Sunday during announcement time. So we're just it's small group and getting that out. And so that's the big plan. And we've got every Sunday plan before the campaign. But for me, it's been talking to individuals and just saying, hey, are you in a small group? And if not, why? And what would it take? Would you be willing to start a small group for 4 weeks? This is an example. Gio really helped with this. One of our members really wanted to have a singles 30 plus event, and we had it on the eve of New Year's Eve. So we had a big singles party. Had a great time. It was an amazing event. But one thing that Gio was just have an event to have an event. And so we actually took a sign up to start a small group, and a temporary small group for just the month of January and through the campaign through the middle of March. And so they've already started, and they're going to continue through the campaign. And then at the end of 8 weeks, will they continue? I don't know, but we have started something. We started that before even we started advertising for the campaign, but with the campaign in mind, knowing that there's going to be more singles that are going to need a small group. And now we get to offer that. So it's individually and corporately, and just getting it on the minds of people, and having people will be willing to stop their ministries even for the campaign is a big deal. But again, Gio is on board, and we've, not all churches have a lead pastor that has been through this before. So it's been really good for us to work together and really focus on the campaign. So corporately, individually.
That's good. And I would say that, let's say if you're a senior pastor or a small group pastor, a small group leader, and you run small groups, but you never done a campaign, I would just encourage you to take a leap of faith. And if that is placing in your heart, just do it by faith. Don't expect perfection. Just do it by faith. You don't need to have everything together. You will learn from the first one and make it better each year. But I would definitely recommend doing once a year campaign where you stop everything, like Marlo said, and focus on like all small groups and getting people pathway that the church has, because that's a great way to grow. That's a good strategy to grow that God can use. Like I said, probably it's gonna be mistakes or things that it didn't work out, but hey, you learn and then you reset, and then the next one will be better. But definitely, I would encourage every senior pastor or small pastor to do it by faith, because that means more small groups, more people, Jesus, people getting baptized, and people getting plugged into the church. So definitely.
All right. Thank you so much for your time. Thanks for sharing your experience. We definitely need to check back in with you in like a year to see how things have gone, how things have grown. And y'all are so new at this role in in ministry, but new here. I'd love to see just how you what you've learned over the first year. I think that's such a formative year for your
Mhm.
ministry and for your own personal connection with Saddleback. So we'll definitely put this on the calendar, get back in it, and check in a year from now.
Awesome.
Okay.
Beautiful.
All
Thank you,
right.
Dan.
Thanks for coming.
Yeah.
Take care. Bye.